my name is Vanessa. I am a personal trainer and wellness coach, and this video is part of my tips and tricks series. I'm going to call it a tutorial because I'm going to go into length or into detail around core work and stabilizer work and how they add value to your process and why it is crucial that they form part of your training program. If you are already training on my free ladies training program, you will see how I already incorporate 90% of this into your program, and as we grow our levels or develop our levels of advancement, I will certainly be introducing a lot more. So it's important that you understand where and why this is coming from. Okay, so before we continue, it's important that you understand the words core and stabilizers and what those mean. In our abdominal region, or our abdominal and lumbar region, lumbar at the back, abdominal at the front, we have a few layers of muscles, and I'm going to call the very inner layer underneath the six-pack. That is what we would call, I'm going to call it a sheath for now. I'm not going to give you the anatomical verb, but let's just call it a sheath. And that sheath underneath the muscles is responsible for holding our visceral organs, or our organs inside our thoracic cavity, in place. And it is also responsible for providing more stability for our vertebral column, our spine, so that it helps with our posture, but it also helps keep the tummy flat, because apart from the fatty tissue on the outside, some of the reasons that our stomachs protrude is because the core isn't as strong as it should be, and the visceral organs are starting to kind of sag a little bit, and that happens with age. Okay, so that is what the core element describes. The best way that I could describe to you to brace your core would be to imagine that somebody's going to punch you, and you automatically will protect yourself. You don't hold your breath, you don't suck in your tummy, it's just a bracing, and that is supporting and stabilizing your core. The word stabilizers. The best way I can describe those is if you imagine that you have two sticks that have been tied together by a piece of wool, okay? Consider that each stick is a bone. For example, one bone, two bones, and there's a piece of wool that is holding those sticks together. That piece of wool is actually our tendon, okay? But if you take two sticks and you're constantly working them and working them and working them away and around each other, as we do when we move every single day, that piece of wool over time begins to stretch, okay? Fortunately for us, our tendons are not a piece of wool, and they do have the ability to hold their form, provided they are maintained, provided they are worked in a way that they are targeted safely, that they are asked to do a little more work that doesn't only put them under strain. So what I mean by that is, if you only work with resistance, and if you only work with heavy weights, and if you only do movements where you are completely stable, those little guys never really have to work on their finesse. And that finesse is what helps them stay like the original piece of wool, if that makes sense. But if they don't, and if they start to stretch, then all your joints start to destabilize. And that's why as we get older, we are aware of injuries such as hips, because all the stabilizers haven't been maintained. So the more active you are naturally and functionally in movement, in the olden days it would have been picking things up, moving things around, walking distances and so on and so forth. That would have just happened naturally. Walking on unlevel surfaces would have been a natural progression, but our lives are not like that. Everything we do is to keep us stable, and we walk on flat surfaces and so on and so forth. So we lose that natural stabilizing element that would apply in the past. How can I bring this into your training so that you can A, activate your stabilizers as much as possible, and B, work your core the entire time, not only for your vertebral column or your spine safety, but also for that lovely flat tummy. How? First and foremost is to start working on one leg in movement. So if I was doing a bicep curl, if I was doing a bicep curl and I asked you to lift one leg, slightly soft at the knee, and you do bicep curls, you are now working your ankle joint stabilizers, your knee stabilizers, your hip stabilizers, your core is working, and you are working your biceps, which is actually what you thought you were working all along. Okay. If you want to take that up a notch, you step onto your mat. Now it's still a flat surface. You don't feel insecure or unsafe, but it's just a little more difficult for your stabilizers to work. So you do the same again, and you've just made the surface a little trickier. And then without wasting too much more of your time, you can take the mat and you can fold it into two, or fold it again to make the mat thicker, to provide more stabilizing work for your ankle, as I've described to you. The next level up would be to then take a Bosu ball. If you don't have a Bosu ball, that's okay, but I'm just explaining how you can progress. Use your imagination, obviously safely, please, onto a flat Bosu, so you can see the half ball there. That's what I would stand on. Start with 2 legs, then progress to 1 leg. These are rehabilitation. They're not as stable as Bosu balls because they don't have the flat hard surface at the bottom, but these are a great and very cost-effective solution that you can order online. Have 2 of those, stand on with both legs first, and when you're ready, use 1 leg. With things like this, you would get used to them before you have weights in your hand, just to be safe, especially if you have a history of knee or ankle or hip concerns. How can we apply the stabilizer process to your upper body, to your wrists, to your arms, to your elbows, to your shoulders? It's exactly the same principle. If you plank on the floor, it's a flat surface. Put your hands onto the mat, fold the mat in half, so on and so forth. You'll see that we start to do, when you do planking where you lift a hand or you lift a leg, that is all stabilizer and core work. Another way to take your planking to another level is to take just a ball underneath you, and there you have, you are stabilizing in your wrists, in your elbows, in your shoulders. Your core is working extra hard now because it's stabilizing while it's doing your planking work. So those are just some examples, and I think you can progress from there quite easily. If you have any questions though, you are welcome to contact me. I'm here. I may not have covered something that is relevant to your own personal process. That's what I'm here for. As your trainer, as your wellness coach, contact me, let me help you.